Welcome to the 2-minute warning, y'all, presented by the Bloody Knuckle Show. Just a little warning, y'all. We are going to have a pilot episode of our new series. It's going to be MMA Story Time, the history of MMA. First episode is going to be Pride Fighting Championship. Soon we are going to have videos to go with the episodes, clips about whatever we are talking about. We're going to do a Legendary Night series, kind of like HBO had. Breaking down legendary fights. We're going to have a beef series going over beefs like John Jones versus Cormier. The first episode is going to be about Pride Fighting Championship. If you didn't live through Pride, you missed out. But living through it through us is the only way you can, make up for it. Today, after on the wheels of Conor McGregor putting up 1.8 million pay-per-view buys, and everyone's saying, is Conor McGregor done with? I am here to talk about the top 5 stars in mixed martial arts. Let's be honest, it's really in the UFC, because there's no one in Bellator that is going to put up the numbers. Obviously, in the past, we had the Kimbo Slices, all that stuff. In Bellator, in Strikeforce. Obviously, in Strikeforce, we had big names, Nick Diaz, Fedor. Pride had huge names. But nowadays, it's really the UFC. And we really look at the sports different these days. With ESPN, the pay-per-view numbers aren't as important, but they're big. We had Khabib. He was a huge star. And the question is nowadays, is beating Conor McGregor the way you make a star? Because look how big, and of course Nick Diaz has always been a star, but look how big Nate Diaz became after his monumental win over McGregor. Khabib was always a pretty big name, but after that McGregor fight, he took off to the next level. Is Dustin Poirier the next guy that is going to be a huge star? People know his name now. He has one of the most exciting fighting styles. He could get the belt. If he goes on a run, could he be a big pay-per-view star? There's definitely great matchups out there for him that could probably sell. So who is going to be the guy who takes the Conor McGregor, mantle? Because Conor's not going to be here forever. So let's go. Top 5, baby. Number 1, y'all know I got to start with it. He's not retired yet. His selling power isn't over, and if he fights tomorrow, we're all going to buy it. It's Conor McGregor. Conor still has that Nate Diaz trilogy. He has so many matchups out there that he could fight. He could still fight Manny Pacquiao tomorrow. Don't forget, he still has a Jake Paul fight out there that could probably do bigger numbers than any fight in fight sports. This guy is a superstar. And he, kind of like Mike Tyson at the end of his career, Conor McGregor could probably keep losing, but he's going to keep selling because it's about the circus. And Conor McGregor is such a big star nowadays that he's making stars by fighting them. I don't see his star power going anywhere. He just did 1.8 million pay-per-view buys. And as someone who's a big-time fan that, works in the fitness industry, and I have my ears to the street, there's nobody who had more talk. I mean, there's UFC events every weekend. I've never heard the gym, the bars, more lit up over a fight. And yeah, there wasn't a lot going on that weekend than a Conor McGregor fight. Conor McGregor is still number 1. Number 2, he just did about 600,000 buys, but was that because of Nate Diaz? Or was that because of Izzy? This was a tough one. Both of them were up in the air. But for now, because of his ability to keep winning and his ability, to defend the belt and his anime, his culture, his background, he's got the backing of like a big comedian like Andrew Schultz. He has a lot, he could go on The Breakfast Club and, chop it up and have awesome interviews. I gotta say, Izzy is the number 2 star in the UFC. It's controversial, but I gotta say it. I just think he needs that big-time opponent. He went up in weight too fast. I think he should have slowed down, do that in the future. That really put a halt on his exciting future. His style can be a little iffy sometimes with his counter-striking. But if he gets that Chael Sonnen, that Jose Aldo, the guy that brings out the best in him and hypes up the fans, Izzy could easily do over 1 million pay-per-view buys. He's got the personality. He's got the swagger. Izzy is my number 2 star in the UFC today. Number 3, I'm going to go ahead and say it. For me, I believe it has to be Nate Diaz. Let's do a little mix. Really, the Diaz brothers. No matter how many times these guys lose, they fucking sell. People fucking love them. It's the Diaz cult, man. And in that last pay-per-view where they did 600,000 and Diaz was fighting a guy like Leon Edwards that really didn't bring any personality to the fight, despite being British and the 2-piece in a soda, I thought Leon... I don't know why Leon doesn't show more personality, but Nate just being Nate, I think helped sell that fight. If you give Nate the right dance partner, like if you give Nate Dustin Poirier, I think you're going to sell a ton of pay-per-views. If you give Nate a Michael Chandler, you're going to sell a ton of pay-per-views. A Darren Till at 170, you're going to sell a ton of pay-per-views. Same thing with Nick Diaz. I don't know if Robbie Lawler was the right choice. It's an exciting choice. But like Nick versus Darren Till, the shit talk that can go there. Nick versus Jorge, the shit talk can go there. Nick versus, let's see, Colby Covington, the shit talk that can happen there is, huge. So I'm going to say the Diaz brothers, conjoined at the hip, are number 3. Number 4 has to be Mr. John Jones. He has sold a ton over time. When this guy... What John Jones really has to do to be one of the biggest stars is he has to accept the fact that he is the heel. He is the bad guy. And I think maybe he has started to do that. He talks a lot of shit on Twitter. And don't forget, John's just going to keep getting bigger. If he'll get his shit together and actually fight at heavyweight, there's so many good fights for him at heavyweight that he's just going to keep selling. And the other fact is John Jones is a dangerous motherfucker that is lethal in the cage. So I think John Jones is my number 4. My number 5, it's a real toss-up, y'all. Francis was on the verge of being one of the biggest stars in MMA just from what he can do in the ring. But Jorge Masvidal should be a top 3 star. The only thing that's hurting Jorge is the fact that he can't beat Kamaru and the fact that he got baptized. And that really hurt his stock. So it's really a tie between these two guys. You have one that's continuing to baptize people and one guy that's living kind of that Diaz lifestyle. He's living off of his personality. And his fighting style is exciting. And Jorge does have a ton of fights, like that Leon Edwards beef that needs to get settled, that Colby Covington beef that needs to get settled. There's a ton of great fights out there. And he is the BMF champ. So I'd probably say Jorge definitely is a top 5 star. But Francis, for sure, should be fighting for that heavyweight title. First off, Dana, what the fuck are you doing? Second off, a heavyweight champion that knocks people out is always going to be your biggest star. And third, the guy is scary. He's got that Brock Lesnar body that sold all that Overeem body, that, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, power. Heavyweights are always exciting. The only problem with Francis, unless John Jones comes up, how many great opponents do you have at heavyweight? It's a dead division. So those are my top 5 stars, y'all. I know I haven't been active on here. I'm getting ready to do this history series. We got a lot of content coming up. A huge fight month. 2 months coming up. Of course, you got that Jake Paul Woodley fight. We're going to do a lot of breakdowns for that. Come on, Woodley. We need you to win, baby. We need you to win. This is the 2-minute warning, as usual, going 10 minutes. Presented by the Bloody Knuckle Show. Peace, world.